Hello and welcome to WTO Forum. Today's question, the multilateral trading system at 60. What accomplishments can the WTO and its predecessor, the GATT, claim over these past 6 decades, and where has it fallen short of the objectives set for them by the member governments? We're very fortunate to have with us today two pillars of the system, Julio Lacarte Muró, John Weeks. Julio has been a career diplomat for Uruguay over the years. He has served as the chairman of the General Council and the contracting parties of the GATT. He was the first chairman of the WTO's appellate body. John is now an international trade specialist and advisor at the law firm of Sidley Austin. He has also served as a General Council chairman for the GATT and for the WTO when he served here in Geneva as ambassador for Canada. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Julio, what accomplishments can we point to in the multilateral trading system, and where have we fallen short?
Well, it's pretty difficult to synthesize 60 years in a few minutes, but we'll make an effort. I think we must remember that the trading system organization got off to a very inauspicious start at the Havana conference because what was supposed to be the International Trade Organization failed. It was substituted by GATT, and instead of being the third leg of a three-legged stool that was going to be the trading system, the Monetary Fund, and the World Bank, we found GATT being rather the poor sister of the others. But in the course of time, and this was inevitable that it should be because of the importance of the trading system, GATT grew in successive negotiating rounds, picked up more and more members, and now we have come to the WTO with practically worldwide membership, embracing practically all aspects of international trade and being the crucial element in the relations, in trading relations among all countries of the world. I think the achievements have been many and very important achievements. The system that now runs the WTO sets the rules for world trade, and this is something that had never occurred before in world history. This is the first time in world history that world trade is regulated with a set of rules generally approved. I think that's a great thing. Could we have done more? Well, in all fields of human endeavor, there is always more to be done. Right. But I think the result has been very positive. At the moment, we are engaged in the Doha round. This, again, is another crucial stage in the WTO, but probably we'll be able to come back to that just a minute as we go along. But that's how I would see it at this moment.
So a mixed picture, but largely positive, John?
I think so. I think one of the real risks is that we become too complacent. And I think we certainly have to guard against that as we move forward. I've noticed a tendency, even when I was in government sometimes, for governments to take the easy way out and to blame the WTO for tough decisions they had to take, or the GATT, rather than to accept the blame themselves for handing out tough medicine. And I think over time this has an effect on the image of the WTO. I think as well there are a number of risks and challenges out there at the moment. Obviously the proliferation of regional trade agreements. The need, I think, to keep the system moving, to pursue vigorously the reforms that are now being discussed in the Doha negotiations. Julio referred to the inauspicious beginning, and my personal memory doesn't go back quite that far, but I can certainly go back to the Tokyo round in the 1970s, and it's very interesting to see what's happened during that period of 35 years or so, because in a way we've been putting back together what didn't happen at the end of the war in the Havana negotiations, and we've as Julio noted, we've enlarged the scope of the coverage of the subjects that are covered: services, intellectual property, finally in the Uruguay round having one structure for the conduct of agricultural trade. And I think what is so important now in the Doha round is that we're really talking about putting real flesh on that structure that came out of the Uruguay round, and it's essential that we try and do that in the interests of maintaining a strong, vigorous, and dynamic WTO and helping the WTO to manage our increasingly global economy.
One of the criticisms, Julio, that we hear from civil society regularly is that the global trading system has not delivered enough for developing countries, hence the launch of the Doha Development Round. Is that a view that you share?
Developing countries have, for a long time, or were for a very long time, partial members in real terms of the trading system. They did not accept all the commitments, nor did they get all the benefits. And the Uruguay round led to a crucial change in that respect, because in the Uruguay round, developing countries did accept all the commitments of membership of what is now the World Trading Organization. Have they got all the benefits they expected? I would say probably, in general terms, they would say they want more. They want more. Probably the most important area, and John just touched on it a minute ago, is the question of agriculture. Many developing countries are agricultural exporters. There's a considerable amount of protectionism still existing in world agricultural trade. It's one of the areas which is crucial for the success of the present Doha round. And I think if we find that the Doha round can make a significant advance in that area, I think developing countries will feel very satisfied with that result.
Your thoughts, John?
I think Julio's correct, and I must say, when I think back to the Tokyo round and the launching of the Tokyo round, I think it's instructive of how dramatically things have changed. That was done initially. The United States and the European Union and Japan, then the European communities, made two joint statements in which, the year before the launch of the round, they said, we intend to enter negotiations or preparations leading to a new round of negotiations next year, and we invite our other partners in the GATT to join us in that endeavor. And that's what happened. Now, can you imagine that happening today? It's unthinkable. And I think we've seen, not only has the role of developing countries in the system increased, but that has reflected a real increase in their role in the world and their role in world trade. Just look at the trade statistics in the latest WTO report showing the growth of China's share of world trade, or the growth of 6 East Asian countries' share of world trade. And the potential that's out there for the real growth is in the future is clearly in the developing world. So I think we've seen a sea change in the last few years. The Quad used to mean the United States, the European Union, Japan, and Canada. And now it means the same two big guys are still there, but it's Brazil and India. And I'm sure we'll see other changes as we move forward.
Which has changed the dynamic of this place quite a lot.
I think John has put his finger on the spot. What we are now calling the emerging economies are every day more important. There's no getting away from this. Not only China, not only India, 1,300 million Chinese, 1,000 million Indians, but with 230 million Indonesians as well, and so on and so on and so forth. And one notices that overall, and John got it just right when he said you wouldn't dream of situations arising like they did in the Tokyo round nowadays. If you don't look at the emerging economies, you can't do anything. So we have a new card game in front of us. The chessboard has changed, let's put it that way, with new pieces, new important pieces. And I think if we look forward for the next, say, 20 years from now, there are going to be even more significant changes than the ones we've already seen.
John Weeks, your final thoughts.
Well, I think what we've achieved is very substantial. I think the real risk is that a lot of people now just take it for granted. And yet I think that it's in some ways a fragile structure. It's robust and vigorous, but without the proper support from governments and without the effort to continue the process of reform and to conclude, for instance, the Doha round, I think the institution could wind up in some difficulty. Globalization is not inevitable, and nor is the WTO just by automatically going to be ordained as a strong institution. We need to see the members accept their responsibility, and I think they have to provide leadership, particularly at a point in time like now where we have a negotiation that's coming to its final phase, and also where we're beginning to see some worrying signs in the global economy that suggest there may be tougher times ahead. And that's when we really have to buckle down and concentrate.
Julio Lacarte, you have the final word.
Well, I would just catch on to what George has said. The Uruguay round was launched to stop protectionist tendencies in the world. The Doha round may have to finish to block off new protectionist tendencies that may be arising if there is any recession or anything like it in the United States that might spread elsewhere in the world. So what is going to happen over the next year in the WTO is going to be crucial for world trade.
The perspective of two experts on the multilateral trading system after 60 years. Thank you, gentlemen, to you both, and thank you to you for watching WTO Forum.